Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the Third Empire podcast. I'm Ali and I'm joined by Ali. Ali, what's up? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, unlike our team. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It was a pretty difficult week, being a Pakistan fan.
As is tradition.
So I just wanted to ask you. I mean, this is how we always start. But what did you think about the series? Let's start with the first ODI.
So before anything, I just want to give some credit to England. The fact that on such a short notice, some of these players who were selected in their team were in the middle of first-class games. Yeah. And these are players who had no idea that they would be called up to represent England anytime soon. And to be selected like that all of a sudden and play with the amount of professionalism and ruthlessness that they played as a unit, they had maybe like one experienced player, Stokes, captaining them. To do that, it just shows the amount of depth and talent that England possess. Like, it's so admirable, and I just want to give credit to England. A well-deserved series win, and it's just, as a Pakistani fan, you can't help but be a little envious, just the way that they play limited overs
I
cricket.
completely agree with you, because it's so easy to just criticize your own team, but the real thing is looking at the other team and just saying, amazing, well played. So let's focus on the first ODI now. I was disheartened. I was sad because I felt that we didn't fight at all. In the second ODI, you can argue that we bowled really well. Hassan Ali, Pfeiffer. In the third ODI, we batted well.
Yeah, let's go with the first.
Let's stick to the first. So what I'm trying to basically say is we did not give it any fight whatsoever.
Yeah. No, the first ODI was by far the worst.
Fakhar Zaman made like a 40
made a 40, but then he got Maqsood run out and then he cheaply threw his wicket away. You can't really... It was a decent innings compared to everyone else, but he should have done much better. But overall, the first ODI was truly just absolutely pathetic in all facets of the game, batting, bowling, nothing. What worried me was how easily they chased that low target. Even though the target was really low, our bowling showed no fight in that first game, and our batting just absolutely collapsed. So I don't think there's much to dissect in the first game. It was just 100% pathetic performance all around from Pakistan.
And let me make one thing really clear here. I mean, it's really easy to talk about negativity.
Yeah, but that's all we saw in the first ODI.
I know, but
there was nothing positive.
From what I understand, I've been watching so many, pundits or anchors going at the team, but I think we need to understand that our job here is not to put someone down. That's one of the things that makes us unique.
Call it like it is.
Focus on the cricket, exactly. Focus on the technical aspects, where we went wrong, instead of focusing on a player himself, right?
Yeah.
So that's just one thing I wanted to, state before we went further into this. So you're absolutely right about how we fell short, and there are many reasons that we could, come up with. For instance, it was the first match. Prior to this, we only had T20 experience.
And I made a video on the first ODI, and I mentioned in it, I'll chalk it up to first game, bad game. It happens.
Yeah. No, I definitely
series, all that.
Yeah.
So I was like, chalo, like. It is an England C team, but give them the benefit of the doubt. It's the first game, and then maybe they can come back in the series.
I think we discussed this in our last podcast when you asked me for predictions. I told you 2-1.
2-1. I said 1-2.
1-2, as well. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, many people feel that now with the C, I hate saying the word C team. I like to look at it as an emerging team, and that for me is more dangerous. So coming back to the C team, the ideology, the mentality behind that term, I don't really understand it, because I feel that these are young players fighting for their spot, players fighting to make it into the team. We've seen in the past some terrific performances by Saqib Mehmood, for instance, Gregory, all these other players, they play other leagues as well, the keeper, for instance, amazing, right? So Simpson, right? So my main point is that they're knocking on the door as well. And that doesn't make them less dangerous than the first team. In fact, for me, it makes them more dangerous. 2 reasons. Number 1, they're fighting for the spot, as I mentioned. And number 2, because our team analysts prepared for a whole, a month or more than that, to face a specific team, right? Yeah. Our bowlers went with that mentality. And then suddenly, 3 days before, a couple of days before, they're told that we're not going to play that team. So think of it from the mentality of the team management as well. Now, we can't make this argument if it comes to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, which happened when we lost 3-0 as well, right, to the C team. because in that scenario we were prepared that they're not going to send their first team. This was a different case. So it does, I mean, you know, what I feel is that I don't agree when people say we did not give them their due respect. I think we were generally outclassed by them. And I think that's what you
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We were not good enough.
It's not that we were overconfident. It's not that we thought, okay, this is a C team, we'll mess around. We genuinely got outclassed by their C team. And I know you don't like that word and I keep saying it, but I personally feel like that's what this team is. And it's not an insult. It's like you said, these are players that are trying to get into the main England team, right? It's not an insult to say that they're C team, because these players are not inferior in terms of their individual skills. Like, these are good players, like you mentioned. But I still think there's no excuse, because if you can make the same argument for them that they didn't have time to prepare, because they were also selected only a few days ago, right? And they came together as a unit and they executed their skills. Of course, they had more video footage on us because our players are more experienced, but they also didn't have a month to prepare. They had a few days and they destroyed us.
But what I'm trying to say basically is, many times, I'm pretty sure you've heard this as well, you know, Ramiz Raja, sometimes I've heard him say that the youngsters don't carry that excess baggage that need to keep up, you know, the performances, or that mental pressure that senior players do have. So when you look at these players, they're going out, you know, they have nothing to lose, let's be honest about it, compared to maybe the first team players, because they have to make sure that their spot is safe, right? So that gives them that ability to go out and express themselves freely, which our players did not have. So the same way I felt about prior to, remember the Pakistan Sri Lanka series, which I just mentioned.
The T20s?
When we lost 3-0. And even the Zimbabwe series right now, I feel that was the time to experiment, try with new players. Unfortunately, the T20 World Cup is around the corner. So our mindset
few months
is only about that. It feels like we don't care about ODI, you know? That's from what I understand, this is the approach we're going with. Until we saw the last game where some of our batsmen took their time, you know, the most recent one. So yeah, exactly. I mean, we need to understand that we need to go format to format. We don't play T20 with, you know, because, I mean, we can argue that some of our bowlers were T20 bowlers in that game, right? So we can move on to
second ODI.
We can talk about the second, but before that, you want to just talk about some players?
Yeah, sure.
So I noticed you're very vocal about Haris Rauf. You have a strong opinion on him, and I'm not trying to say that in the third ODI he destroyed your opinion. Of course, for example, if I say something about a player, you know, it might be true, it might not be true, but the fact is that, you know, I stick to my opinion and I support it. So and I actually agree with you, because many times I've seen that Haris Rauf, he's not living up to his potential, you know, when it comes to the Big Bash. One of the biggest problems I have with Haris Rauf is that he has that pace, but he doesn't have the line and length. You know, he's providing that width to batsmen like Salt or, you know, whoever who can just stroke it gently and it goes for 4, because he has such express pace. So, and if you noticed on one of the wickets that he got, he just provided a straight Yorker to one of the batsmen, and, you know, so it's so important to have that variation. You know, we look at bowlers like Abbas, like Gregory, who don't have pace at all. But why they're successful? Because they utilize the pitch properly, you know, with the seam. You know, we saw Saqib Mehmood. Of course, he has pace, but of course, he has variation as well. So I just want to know your thoughts. Are they the same as they were before on Haris Rauf, or have they changed since the last ODI?
They personally, I didn't think he was that terrible in the last ODI, but overall, I feel the same way about Haris. I don't think, and this is because he was just called up to play Big Bash by Lahore Qalandars. He doesn't have first class experience. He hasn't gone through the system, right? I just feel like Haris doesn't have the required bowling intelligence that you need in international cricket. And to say that Big Bash, which now it's been a while since that Big Bash, it's been 2 years or more than that, and he was an unknown quantity in that Big Bash. He just came up, he got some good wickets there, but once again, people get found out in international cricket.
Does he have a place in our ODI squad?
No, I don't think he does. Not at all. And I don't care about those 4 wickets. Like, the first wicket he got of, I believe it was not Crawley. I don't know who it was, but it was just a regular ball that Salt hit it straight to mid-wicket. He hit it straight to mid-wicket. And Now, obviously, a wicket is a wicket, and I'm not going to discredit. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it, but it was a regular delivery that he just hit to mid wicket, right? And then he got some wickets on the boundary. So I just feel like
before
go on.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no
Before we move to another player, I just want to focus on our team selection. I have seen a countless number of Pakistan captains and other team captains as well succumbing to the pressure of the board or the fans on social media, or if it was any other captain, I can guarantee you this, and I can tell you that we would have changed our team either in the third ODI or the second ODI. What I liked about Babar's captaincy is that he chose a team, he stuck with that team. The second game, okay, you didn't perform. The third game, Haris got wickets, for instance. So that just speaks volume about how backing a player, and I've spoken about this many times before, but when you back someone, they feel that debt that they have to pay you back, right? And I don't know if you saw this, but there was a picture of Ben Stokes when he came in the beginning, and he had like a really bad average, or there was a stats column of his, and there was no question of why he should be in the English team.
Yeah.
But they backed him. So what I really like is right now when I look at Babar, just through these 3 matches, I see a strong captain. This is what, like, because I don't know if you felt this, but we've just been switching so many players in and out. Babar this time comes and he says, even though, as you know, he's really good friends with Usman Qadir, right? And that just shows that, you know, he makes a decision and he wants to stick by it. And it did pay off. I mean, let's be honest about that. So what do you think about Babar's captaincy in general?
So I think after the 3-0 loss, I went on social media and I saw a lot of people criticizing his on-field captaincy, a lot. And I think people are overreacting a little, putting too much blame on a captain, because your captain can't control like where the ball pitches, like what kind of deliveries are bowled. He only has so much in his control. So I saw people saying remove Babar from captaincy, but I'm gonna ask them who are you gonna replace him with? Like there's no one that can replace Babar right now in Pakistan, and another thing is that he's a new captain. On field tactically, he's only going to get better as a captain. I saw in the third ODI, I feel like he could have maybe tactically captained a little better. Like in the last 4 overs, I feel like you need to bring some extra fielders in and stuff like that, because you're not going to stop the runs, right? You need to get wickets there. But I feel like people are overreacting. I don't think Babar's captaincy is a problem at all. That's the least of our worries as a team. There's like so many holes in this team. How are you going to blame his captaincy on our losses?
100%. So we both totally back Babar.
Yeah, I back him 100% as captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the pitches.
Yeah.
So we saw in the first 2 games, they were a little grassy. They were their favorite seam bowling as well.
The first 10 overs, yeah.
Right. And history tells us that if you see a little grassy pitch, you should choose to bowl first. And as you know, by over 10, over 20, the pitch will become better for the batsman. Then you can bat in the second, right?
Yeah.
The second innings. But we saw that despite having a batting friendly pitch in the third game, we saw Bumble mentioning that this is a 300 plus pitch, right? You have to cross that. This pitch sort of reminded me of the World Cup pitches, how every game was high scoring. Then I saw an interview by Saqib Mehmood, and the one with Faheem Ashraf.
Yeah.
I saw over there that he was saying that, the difference in the mentality between ICC and the ECB, the pitches that they want to prepare. So obviously, ICC wanted high scoring games, which is why they prepared those pitches. So it just, we don't understand how difficult it can be for a batsman to play on those difficult pitches, especially in the first innings. I mean, if you looked at Phil Salt in the first game, they came in the second innings and performed really well. So, but then in the second game, we came in the second innings as well. So we do need to understand that it is difficult for batsmen. It is really difficult for batsmen on a pitch like that, on grassy pitches. And
I want to use the second. I agree with you that the first 2 ODIs definitely had more bowling friendly pitches than the third one, obviously. But
fast bowling.
But there's one spinner in the team, so that doesn't matter. But Isn't that the job of an opener, though, to assess the conditions and the team management to assess the pitch to decide what's a good? Because I thought in the first two ODIs, 270 would have been a good score. Because 270 is below par nowadays. But for those wickets, it would have been a decent score, right? But we failed to get that because, I don't know, for whatever reason, our batting didn't work. But I just want to mention something about the second ODI. You mentioned early in the podcast that we bowled well in the second ODI. I agree with that to an extent. Because there was a point in the second ODI when England were 170 for 7. And I think it was Gregory and Cars. 160 for 7, actually. And we let them get to 250 from there.
And this has been the story of our bowling since, if you look at the most recent 2 years. Whenever I watch Pakistan play, I'll be honest with you. Against teams like England, South Africa, Australia, more recently England, South Africa, New Zealand.
Yeah.
When we win the match, it feels like we have tried so hard in all departments, fielding, batting, bowling. But if you look at other teams, it's just like, they're hardly trying.
Yeah.
They're hardly trying. So, point being,
that's a good point.
So we try so hard. Like we have to try so hard in everything just to get that.
Just
victory.
to get that close win.
Just to make it close.
Yeah.
This is related to your last point about how we let those runs get away, and then the third ODI was just abysmal. The fielding. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. So the third ODI, I want to mention one thing.
Right before that, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
for interrupting you. Right before that, isn't it so easy for a batsman to the way you saw England? They lost wickets. We spoke about this yesterday as well.
The next ball they're
hitting a 4.
Yeah, that's how they
just
play.
The mentality, like how aggressive. They're not worried about. But you know why? Because they're playing low risk shots. They're playing along the ground,
and they have the skill. They have the
exactly the
individual
ability.
skill.
I mean, the most important thing is low risk shots. For us, if you noticed, they're giving short balls to Hassan Ali, Faheem Ashraf.
Just hit it in the air on the leg side.
So of course we should learn from how they're bowling as well. And I noticed bowlers like Gregory. We were talking about Gregory where I feel that he was willing to give the short balls because he knew that the batsman only had one area to hit. The cover corner, but that was the longest boundary.
And they fortified it with a fielder most of the
exactly.
time.
So and one more thing is understanding the ability of the batsman. As we spoke about the ability of English players, but we did not speak about the way that they studied our team as well. New players coming in. You spoke about video footage that they had to see, but how they knew each and every detail about our team. How strong this player is of the leg side, of the off side.
Yeah.
So a lot goes into team management, statistics, preparing.
Their role is very important.
So that's just something which I feel needs to be applauded from.
Look at it from this point of view. They have video footage. They have analysts. All these professional coaches. We as fans can look at our batsmen and know their weaknesses. We know bowl short to this guy, he's gonna give you a catch on the leg side. Like we know this, right? So of course they're gonna know it even better than us. So there you go. So just the second ODI, I think you want to talk about the third ODI real quick.
Yeah, I was talking about the pitches, how easy it was for the batsman to just pick up. Babar Azam.
He played beautifully. Amazing. Just beautiful knock all around.
I feel like if I talk about Babar, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
But I just want to say something really quick. No, do you want to say anything about Babar first?
I mean, I don't have anything that hasn't been said about his innings. Yeah, it was just beautiful all around.
So what I feel is in the past, we've seen, and I was supposed to talk about this in our last podcast, but I just didn't. I want to basically say that when you look at players, especially in Pakistan team, everyone knows that it seems like we're relying too much on Babar. And then some people criticize him for taking too much time. But let's go back a few months and look at Karachi Kings.
Yeah.
Right? I just sort of feel that even if he takes those balls, even if he takes his time, like yesterday we saw he didn't play for like 15 balls, right? So even if he does that, he has every right to do that. Every right to do that. Even if it's a T20 game for Pakistan.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any other batsman that can fill his shoes.
I get your point. I 100% get your point.
Just right now only we spoke about Hassan Ali, Faheem Ashraf, or any other batsman coming in and not knowing how to play the short ball.
Yeah.
Not because they can't play it, but because it's difficult to assess the change of pace.
Yeah.
If me and you were batting, I doubt we would have done anything as well. I mean, what do you mean I doubt?
There's
no way I would have done anything, So, people can say, who are we criticizing players? But we need to understand the skill of the English bowlers as well. So, for me, Babar, we've seen him for a long time. For me, he has every right to take those 15 balls, even if it's a T20 game. Take it.
Yeah.
Of course, take 10 balls. go at, run a ball, make a runner ball 50 if you have to. Because we know that he can accelerate in the end. No other player can do that in our team. We speak about Rizwan, but I'm talking about consistency. What is Babar? He'll give you 7 out of 10 performances. Name another batsman in our team that'll give you 7.
The only one who comes close is Rizwan.
5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, recently, yeah. So we need to understand, like, consistency is something really hard to come by. And it's not like you find it in every single team abroad. No. Not everyone is as consistent as Babar. So we need to understand that this man is really something special.
One thing I want to mention about Babar is he's played 83 games and he has 14 ODI centuries. One thing I was looking at yesterday, let's say he gets 15 centuries in 100 games. Let's say he plays 300 games, inshallah, like at least, okay? That means he would have 45 ODI centuries. Right now, the most ODI centuries in the history of cricket is Sachin Tendulkar with 49. So let's say Babar somehow gets to 50 ODI. Like, I'm just saying it's a big possibility that he breaks a record for the most ODI centuries in cricket history. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying anything else. But it is exciting, right? Because let's look at one other thing. He's 27. A batsman usually enters his peak years in his late 20s, early 30s. So I think it's very exciting if you look at it like that. Like, he's going into like 28, 29, 30. I think he can only get better from here.
So, exactly, I agree with you. For me right now, whenever I see a huge prospect, be it Babar, even Kohli in the beginning, I'm a huge fan of Kohli's.
Of course.
But one thing I like about Kohli is they're never happy with
they always want more.
Always looking to improve. And the same thing I see within Babar. You're only as good as your last performance.
Yeah.
That sort of mentality. So I have no doubt that Babar is just focusing on his next game right now. There's no way he's looking.
Yeah, he's not going to sit on his rest on his laurels.
100%. You should have long-term goals. You should have a vision, because you're not going to.
All good players do.
You have to have vision, but short-term goals will
win games.
Make that happen.
Yeah.
So that was a good thought we had. But what I'm trying to so let's talk about
third ODI. One thing, just real quick.
Yeah, sure.
We got 330 something. What 330 something?
30, yeah.
I think that was an average score. It was a good score, but I don't think
we
it was
were
like
10-15 runs short.
Yeah, we were a little short
failed to accelerate
at
completely
the end, right?
Yeah. With Maqsood we had, and with he played pretty well. Okay, what do you have to say about Maqsood really quickly?
Maqsood, third game you can't
glimpses. Overall glimpses of brilliance.
He looked good
Some
in the ODI
sixes.
series. Yeah, he looked very good. The first game he hit like a
beautiful
6 over cover, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was very nice. But Maqsood, he got run out first game, wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Third game he came with 1 over left, like 1 or 2 overs left. Chalo, you hit out there, it doesn't matter. But Maqsood, I feel like he got a little unlucky in this series, and I hope to see more of him in the T20s.
But I just want to quickly talk about our fielding.
Oh my God.
I didn't really see such atrocious fielding in the first 2 ODIs.
Yeah.
I feel we kept it calm.
It was okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, because if it goes unnoticed, it means we feel
it means it's
right?
okay, yeah.
But going to England, which is, let's say, the best fielding side in the world, you can't do that. You can't.
You can't do that against Zimbabwe. You can't do what we saw in the third ODI.
To Zimbabwe,
you can't do that. Like on the field, an international team dropping 4 or 5 catches.
Not just the drops. That's what I'm talking about.
Missed extra ones, fumbling. I saw one guy pick the ball up and he threw it behind him on the boundary, and resulted in okay. One example, real quick, I want to give. Shaheen was bowling. Fine. He bowls to, I forgot who the batsman was. He bowls, the ball goes to fine leg, and it's an easy single. The fielder fumbles, and they run back for 2. Next ball goes for 6. So you mentioned this domino effect, right? Yeah. And fielding plays a massive
100%.
role in that.
We lost like maybe 60, 70 runs minimum.
We would have won without bad fielding.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially with the drop catches, because for what happens if your catches drop, it's like a free life you've been given. You're like Fakhr Zaman in the Champions Trophy final, the no ball wicket.
So many examples.
We can just go crazy counting. So that domino effect that you mentioned right now, exactly. It's cricket is a consequence game. Is there anything left that we had?
Just third. ODIs I think were fine. One thing I want to mention is Faheem Ashraf. I have some stats here in ODIs. Faheem Ashraf. he has a bowling average in ODIs of. So before this, I want to preface this with saying that he has been good in tests. So I'm not saying
And
he's in,
T20s. And T20s.
So in ODIs, he has
Especially
a
of
bowling
late.
average
Of late.
Like,
See, when I made the video about Faheem, I made it off his late performances.
Yeah, and his test performances, so
Yeah,
which have been good,
test
right?
and T20,
Yeah. In ODIs though, ODIs it's not the same format as a T20. He has a bowling average of 46, and he has a batting average of 11.5 as an all-rounder. He has with more than 30 games played, which is a lot. 30 games is a good amount. It's not like 5 games, 6 games. 30 games. To have stats this abysmal, you keep talking about giving players chances, right? But there's a limit. There's a limit where you're like, this player needs to actually do something to keep giving him chances. Like 30 games, bowling average 46, batting 11.5. I think that's a little unforgivable. I think you need more from an all-rounder, either as a bowler or a batsman.
So
he needs to do something.
Who is your all-rounder now?
I would look. If Faheem is gonna keep playing like this, then why not replace him with a bowler or a batsman? Because they're gonna at least do something
Nasser mentioned, we were a batsman short, 100%. You know, Rizwan, he kept saying Rizwan needs to bat one position down. What do you think about Saud Shakil? I think he showed how
some class.
solid he is. He reminded me of Asad Shafiq a little bit.
Yeah,
the way he plays. He is a test player for sure. He is.
Yousuf really praises him. Yousuf said he's a coach in domestic as a batting coach, right? He
Under
really
19.
praises Shakil.
And there's rumors that he might be our new batting consultant.
I wouldn't mind actually. I think he's very, very underrated. Pakistanis don't appreciate. I know this isn't like relevant, but Pakistanis don't appreciate how good of a batsman he was for Pakistan. He was an amazing batsman, and he knows a lot about batting.
He had one of the best years ever in
2006. I think he scored the most runs ever in a year in tests. But even as an ODI batsman, people don't realize at his time he had a strike rate of he had a strike rate of 70 plus. Played many amazing ODI knocks. Has more than 10,000 ODI runs. Very, very good batsman.
Solid batsman, man. Solid batsman.
Yeah.
So, is that it for... So we
ODIs?
spoke about the pitches. One more thing. I just want to quickly talk about Saqib Mehmood. You know, what do you think about Saqib Mehmood?
I think he's knocking on the door of the main England team.
He's knocked and they've opened the doors already.
Hopefully they open it. I mean, now he deserves it.
They have opened it, man.
It's let's see. We don't know yet, but I think they should open it. He bowled really well. Can't praise it enough.
Seam bowling at its best. You know, it reminded me of a little bit about Asif. You know, just the way the ball would move and just puzzle the batsman all together.
I mean, if you look at this world champion
England, you can argue it is easier to do that there, you know.
But I think he just in general bowled well. Even one thing I want to say is this world champion England side, if you want to point out one weakness in their main team, it would be not that it's bad, but it would be their bowling compared to their batting, right? Their batting is just monstrous. But their bowling, I think, is their slightly weaker point. And if Saqib Mehmood can keep bowling like this against better teams, even like against big teams, then I think he should be in the main England team.
Yeah, because he offers something different that England don't have.
Yeah.
You know, different action. His action, I was reading about this. It's really slingy, if I could, for lack of a better term. It reminds me of Waqar Younis. It reminds me a little bit of those sort of bowlers. Shoaib Akhtar. It has a touch of Shoaib Akhtar with that extension. You know, so. It offers something different to what England currently have, and I think definitely he's a bowler for the future. He's a test bowler. He offers that reverse swing option that his action naturally brings, is something that England are really looking for, you know. And also he comes from different upbringing, different society, so that is gonna add a lot of, because we see so many times players, fans in the country look up to, Adil Rashid, Moin Ali, because they sort of represent them, being minorities, for instance.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
This is another big deal for,
of course,
fast
performances
bowler,
matter
100%, but a fast bowler. Yeah. Normally we're known for our spinners, but a fast bowler like that coming up, it's just amazing. If you look at our last game, I don't mind us losing. I'll be frank, I don't mind us losing as long as we fight. So the last game I saw a fight. And the game before that, I saw a bowling effort. So for me, what does it do? For a neutral fan, let's say, it makes the game worthwhile to watch. Yeah, that's what counts. First game, I didn't see a fight, and I think you felt the same way about that. So I don't mind if we lose. Honestly, we lost 30 points right now for the ODI Super League. We did, but we saw a fight in the last 2 games. So I think that's what counts. So I want to thank everyone firstly for all the support, the amazing support you guys are showing us, the love. And definitely we're going to keep recording and producing videos. Don't forget to...
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, and we made a new Facebook page which is doing well. We post very regularly there.
One thing we started is we started to write articles as well, a little bit like quotes and articles. And so definitely we're not only going to be a podcast channel, but we are definitely going to delve into the field of journalism, research as well, cricket research. That's going to be something that I'm definitely looking into as well. So we plan to expand our base. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe and share. All the best, guys. Bye bye.